Recording in progress.
All right, good morning, everybody. Moadim simcha legula shlema, as they say, right? Actually, I have my siddur and my tefillin. It was one of the siddurim that was given by Bnei Kiva of Chicago when I went to Israel as for the madrichim they gave. So, but in there it has the whole tefillah for Yom Ha'atzmaut, the Haftorah, and all that, and everything. Right. All right. Anyway, so we start. Got off the bottom. So the bottom. So we said we got to the bottom of the beginning of the Gemara. So the Mishnah said, "Kashem shamayim bodkim oso, kach hamayim bodkim oso." So just like the water checks her, right, and if she's guilty, she will basically burst. Yeah. Right. So too, it checks him. Now, who is him? Iso lama. Ilema labal. If it means the husband, and we'll soon see. So my of it, right? What did he do? Why? What do you mean you're checking the husband, right? The woman was secluded, another man. So maybe that. Let's say he sinned, and what would that be? That he was bolel after shenistera. Right, as Rashi says, right? In other words, that perhaps he had relations with her, and it was forbidden to be with her after she was seen in seclusion. So kisbe. So, and then in that case, when she, what is it? Oh, sorry, we're in Kafches. Sorry, top of Kafches. My bad. Sorry. We're in Kafches.
Right.
Top line.
Okay.
So the Gemara says maybe in that case, if he sinned, if he was with her, then when she drinks the water, then he'll also, suffer the consequences. So in that case, he's be'avon b'didei mi badki l'mayim l'dida. Well, if he did sin, would the water even work with her? But Tanya, we learn in the Brisa, it says the nika ha'ish. Actually, I like this better. This Gemara is much bigger. I can see the kudos, right? It says. The Niko ha'ish mi'avon v'ha'isha ha'i tisa savoin. So it says over there, the man will be clean from sin. She'll be right then. She'll right then. Be tested by her sin. It says bisman sha'ish menuke mi'avon ha'mayin v'ha'isha isha. So we learned from there when the man is clean from sin, i.e., he wasn't bald out b'derech, right? Then it checks his wife. However, eina ish menuke avon. Then the water wouldn't work. So you can't say that when she drinks, if he was bald up a derech, then he would also, right, explode, right, or whatever it is, right? He would also suffer the consequences like her, because the mind doesn't work in the first place then, because we said the water only works when he's clean from oven. The Allah, rather, what does it mean? Rather refers to the adulterer. So listening to the Sefer. So why don't you say like this? Same lashon used in the Sefer. The Sefer says "Kashem shasur lebal kach asur lebayil." Right? Use the lashon of bayil there. Right? Well, it is why also. So where it says liyayla lebayil, it is lebal. So why is it different? So the Reisha did tana oisa. Since it says osa, tani osa. Therefore we wrote the masculine wrote osa, and Sefer did the tani bal to tana bal. Since it says bal, therefore tana bayil. Therefore it says bayil. Fine. Shenamar ubo ubo. So we learned from over there. How do you know that? It says ubo ubo. All right, it says it twice. Okay, now we're going to use some of the a bunch of the psukim today. So it says ubo actually 3 times, but our Mishnah says ubo first 2 times is in pasuk chav beis and in pasuk chav dal. So it says ubo. So the Mishnah says.
What's the whole purpose, please?
Right, that was the first pasuk. The second pasuk is v'hishkas ha'ishes me'amarim. She drinks it. Basically, the water enters her both times. It's used the same way, but it repeats it. The water enters her. So since it says ubo, kamar, is it the fact that there's an extra vav? Bo, it could have said bo, but it says ubo. Therefore, it's 2 of them. Oh, ubo kamar, or maybe because it repeats it twice. So Tashma, come and listen. Well, we have another situation actually in the Mishnah where it mentions, it says the word is that we have a drasha from nitma v'nitma, right? So it says over there with the vav. So Gemara says, "Vadayin to boy." Well, you can ask the same question over there. It says nitma nitma kamar, right? Is it nitma over nitma kamar? The extra vav. Oh, nitma the nitma, or maybe 2 different psukim, right? One is in pasuk right? Pasuk Yadalit, it says, "V'avar lav ruach kina v'kinas isha v'hi nitma'a," right? And then also in Pasuk Chav Tes, it says, "Tista isha tachas isha v'nitma'a." So Kamar. No, over there it's actually the same question. Is it actually the fact that it says the word twice, or is the fact it says that when it says nitma, it says v'nitma, right, with the vav? So Tashmak Melissa Meditani Seva the Seva says, Rabbi Aimer, Shnei Pamim Harim B'Parsha v'nitma v'nitma. So Rabbi in the Brisa says, Rabbi says Beferish, the drasha is because it says the word twice, v'nitma v'nitma. Echad l'bal v'echad l'bal. Michlal, you can infer from here that Rabbi was arguing as responding to Rabbi Kiva. Michlal, Rabbi Kiva, vav kadarsh. He's darshaning the vav. There's an extra vav. It says nitma, right? It could have said nitma. It says v'nitma. So therefore, it's like it says it twice. We can darshan it echad l'bal, echad l'bal. In that case, when it comes there, and therefore bringing it back to our case, ubo. We learn Shem Shamayim Bodkin Osa, Kach Bodkin Osa. So Hilkach.
The vav isn't in the Torah. The vav is only in the Mishnah.
No, it's in the Torah. The pasuk says V'nitma. Our Mishnah brought this machlokas, right? Our Mishnah brought the machlokas, and they were darshaning over there for the pasuk. If you look back at the Mishnah, right? Which pasuk? Which pasuk?
I got you.
Pasuk Chav Tes. It says Zos Toras Hakinos Asher Tista Isha Tachas Isha V'nitma'a. No. Which one? And which one? Pasuk?
The first one. The first one.
Huh?
Torah or
No. Which one? Yudalid?
No,
The he needs
The
ma?
first one.
One second. Which pasuk? Are you looking at the dollar or the hay? Because I also have the article over there.
no, pasuk.
in you dollar, it doesn't have it.
No, the nitma is memtet.
No, right. No, Chav Tes, right. And Yudalid, it doesn't have the vav. It
No,
doesn't, right. It
exactly.
doesn't have the vav.
The second one is
right. So it's darshaning over there, right? It's darshaning over there. The nitma. Right, it says nitma in one case and vinitma in the other case. So over there, he darshans the vav, right? So Rabbi darshans the vav, excuse me, Rabbi Kiva darshans the vav, and Rabbi says is shnei pamin. Now Hilkach, the Rabbi Kiva. So let's go back. According to Rabbi Kiva, Shisa Kroik Sibi, right? There's actually 3 psukim, right? And each one, 3 psukim have ubo, right? The first 2 we mentioned, right? It was pasuk Chav Beis, then Chav Dalid, and then there's also in pasuk Chav Zayin. It says, right? V'ishkas hamayim v'haisa v'timo me'al b'isha ubo. All right, uvo bo hamayim hamarim. So it says over there uvo. It says uvo 3 times. Remember, he's darshaning vav, so it says uvo 3 times. Therefore, that's 6. So therefore, Hilkach Rabbi Kiva Shisa Kraik. See, there's 6 times it says ubo. So chad letzava dida, chad letzava dide. Right. So the first one is a command, right? That, in other words, that they should that it should be done. And the other one is that it will basically be effective to her. The water will be effective to him. And right? And the other one is regarding that to tell them that this is the way that in other words that the fact that it in other words that it will work, right? That each one will work, right? So each one has a sava, an asiya, and a yadiyah, right? Each one is commanded. One second. Each one is commanded. Each one that knows that it will work, and the other one is that this is the information. In other words, this is what is done when it occurs. That it's said both by him and by her. Yeah.
So the second machshava is that it still works despite that there is a biyah on the way.
No, it won't work that way. It won't work that way.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. Now we're telling you that when it says him, it's referring to the boil, to the adulterer, not the husband.
Okay.
The water, right? The water is commanded, right? You know, she's commanded and he's commanded. Every time in this case now, she and him is referring to the boil, right? So therefore that's the six. Now, Rebbe, according to Rebbe, who was not darshing the vav, Talasakrai, there's three psukim. Zaksivi, Chad Tzava, right? One is the command, the Chad Liyasiya, and one is the fact that that it will be effective. The Chad Liyadiya, and the other one is to inform them. The Rebbe, Kashem Shemayim Baidkinosa, Kach Baidkinosa Minale. So if that's the case, Rebbe's not darshaning the vav. So how do we know that the water checks him, right? Because we only know it checks her. So Nafle Miditani, because it says, okay, another pasuk going back to pasuk Chav Beis. It says Latzabos Beten Lenafil Yarach. Latzbos says Latzbos Beten Lanpil Yarach.
Yarech.
No, Yarech. Yeah, Seireh. I didn't see it. All right, fine. Looks patach. Right. Anyway.
So the ball, he's not in the Mishnah at all. He could be in.
Who? Yeah, exactly. He's not around, and he's all of a sudden he's like, I feel funny. Yeah, maybe it's something you ate. I feel funny. No. And then all of a sudden, now, so it says over there that basically that that the stomach will right. So it says over there that the stomach will start to expand, and then the thighs will basically feel heavy. So beaten of the Yercha Shabayel. So beaten of the Yercha Shabayel. Right. So therefore, this pasuk over here is referring to whose stomach and whose thigh? That of the bayal. So Gemara says, "Ata imer beaten of the Yercha Shabayel." Is it referring to that of the adulterer or ein ela beaten of the Yercha Shel Nivelis? Maybe it's referring to the wife. So it says no. Shehu imer the tzavs pasuk. Now this is going into this. This is the vav here. This is back into pasuk of Zayin. It says over there, the tzavsa vitna v'nafla yirecha. It says that over there already. It talks about over the stomach and the thigh over there. So therefore, that is talking about the woman. So who is that referring to? That must be referring to that of the bayal. According to the other opinion, who doesn't actually? So why do you have two psukim? The ideal in the bath and the ratio of other year. No, that's to inform that over there, since the way the water goes in, that's how it's going to check to inform the Kohen that first her stomach, then if in order that that if all of a sudden people say, hey, why is it didn't work in order? You're wrong. No, this is the order it's supposed to work. My beten v'yerech. So it should have said with the hey, right? Beatna v'yercha. Why does it say over there beten and yarech? Shmami no, the bayal must be referring to the bayal. So maybe it's only coming for that and not the bayal. So in kain lichtav beatna v'yerecho, right? Say beatna v'yerecho, only referring to them. My beten v'yerech. Shmami no tarti must be both. That will work by him, and also that this is going to be the order: first the stomach and then the thighs. Fine. So back darshaning the Mishnah. So we had the Mishnah. It says ubo. And then it says Divi Rabbi Akiva. This is all the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, and we said Darshan Divav and Amar Rabbi Shua Kache Darsh Zechariah ben Akatzav. Right, he also darshan the same way. And Amar Rabbi Shua so Torah Abanim. Then it says right. Then it says Nitma v'Nitma. Right. So that was Asur Labal Kach Asur Labal. That's is going in this part now. So one darshan above, and now the other darshan Nitma. So Tana Rabbana and Shalosh Pamim in the Parsha, it says 3 times in the Parsha. Im Nitma, right? That was look back over there. So that is pasuk in pasuk Yudalit. Chav Zayin says Nitma, right? Vishka Samayim Vaisa Im Nitma, and then it says Nitma in pasuk Yudalit Varbal Avruch Kina V'Kinas Ishta V'Hi Nitma, right? And then it says V'Nitma Nitma. Right in pasuk Chavtas, it says Tista Isha Tachas Isha v'Nitma'a. So Lama. So why does it say 3 times? So Echad Labal, V'Echad Labayel, V'Echad L'Truma. Right. One is that she's usher to the husband. The other one, if she's Tameya. The other one says she's usher to the bayal. Right. And the third one is that she's now forbidden to eat truma. Let's say he's a Kohen, she can't have truma. Tivi Rabbi, he has a bit of Rabbi Kiva. Amar Rabbi Yishmael, so comes Rabbi Yishmael, Sakava Chaimer. Says the Kalvachemer. Now, we're soon going to discuss Rabbi Shmuel's response to Rabbi Kiva, but Rabbi Shmuel says the Kalvachemer. Uma grusha, and we'll see. It also doesn't really make sense. Like it seems like we're missing a step in our Mishnah or in this brisa. Ma grusha shemateres truma. A woman who's divorced, right? It does not prohibit her from eating truma, right? A divorced woman, she's a kohenes, whatever, right?
Married to a Kohen.
If she was if she was married to a kohen, had children,
Right.
or she was single and bas kohen, right? But that was grusha does not disqualify her from truma, right? Shemateres truma. So nevertheless, she's a surlakuda. She can never marry a kohen again because she's a divorcee. So So this woman is soda shasur b'truma cannot go have a truma. Eno did shasur lakuna. It's obvious she's asur lakuna. So it's a very strange response because Rabbi Shmuel, right? Rabbi Kiva is talking about truma, and Rabbi Shmuel basically says, no, I have a different limud for kahuna, right? So we were talking about truma, right? So then the brisa goes on. So over there in Pasuk Yudalit says, "V'elav rokina gives isha v'hi nitma," or "V'elav kina v'kinas isha v'hi loy nitma." Right? Why does it say both v'hi nitma or v'hi loy nitma? Eat nitma lama sheis. I understand if she's tamei, we know for a fact that she's vade. She was nevelas with the adulterers. So why would she drink? She's guilty. Eat loy nitma. If we know for a fact she did was tamei lama mash, why should she drink? So magidach hakodesh shasavek asur to tell you that when in doubt, then she is ushered to her husband until she drinks the water. So from here we can learn out to other halachas like the sheretz. In a case of a sota where let's say it was done b'shoigeg, would that case be right? Let's say her husband, the same name as him, and dark room, and she thought she was with her husband, is really with another man, twin brothers, whatever it is, in such a situation. In other words, and nevertheless, it's treated just like shalasa. She should not be guilty. Shalasa shoigeg kamezid. The Eines Karatzan, and also if she was violated, right? If she was raped against her will, once again, we don't treat that as a woman as adulteress. She's not a Saita, Karatzan. Nevertheless, in the case of a Savik, Asaba Savik Kavadai, right? She's Savik Kavadai, so Sheretz, so to by Sheretz, Asaba Shege Kamezid, right? The Eines Karatzan. But in the case of Sheretz, where we don't care how food came in contact with a dead Sheretz, right? If even it was a shogeg or as ba'ines, it was completely against someone's will. Eino din she asked about savik kavada. Isn't it obvious that any doubt whether a sheretz touched something? Isn't it obvious that the suffix should be usher? And Lord, turn the page. When we welcome Shabbat, and from the same place there, you're coming to go ahead and darshan samasite the rishus hayachid. And just like the sot that only happens, she's included only in a private domain. So sheretz rishus, so do that suffix. We're talking. So too the sheretz is rishus hayachid, right? And therefore only counted there. We're talking about the one who has the potential to know what happened. Nevertheless, they did not say what happened, but it has to occur with, with an individual, someone das lishol, right? To exclude, let's say, so to a sheretz has to be, right? Did you come in contact with this? I don't know if I kicked it or not, right? But as opposed to, let's say, an animal, was bringing over a dead sheretz and might have placed it on the loaf of bread. So that would exclude this case. So from here we say, if it's someone who's involved with a human, then in such a case, it's similar to sota, and therefore we'd say b'shus hayachid sveiko tamei. In a suffix, we'd say the shus hayachid is the suffix is tamei just like a sota. She's us to her husband, but shus rabin, but if it's in public, right? So sveiko tahor, then the doubt is tahor because that's not a sota. And if it's with, let's say, an animal and not a human, b'shus hayachid. Then the suffix is tar because we can't learn out from sota. So therefore, we assume that the suffix is tar. Now, let's go back to Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel, I understand what's going on here. I'm Rabbi Kiva Truma. I understand. Rabbi Kiva's talking about Truma. He says, we learned from Vinitma that she's asa the Truma. And you respond, it's a Kabbalah that she's asa the Kuna. So furthermore, Rabbi Kiva Kuna Minale. First, even according to Rabbi Kiva, how does he know that she's asa the Kohen? So if you want to say that maybe that she's usher to a kohen, let's say the sota husband died, right? So she's widowed, right? Normally a widowed woman is married to any kohen besides the kohen gadol. So, but nevertheless, she's usher the kuna. Shaharei asaba safek zaina kazaina, right? That in other words, we take a case of, let's say this case of sota, and we say she's usher to her husband, right? So truma nami like tibayikra, and therefore truma also we shouldn't need a kra. Shaharei asaba safek zaina kazaina, right? So as if you want to say, oh, let's learn kahuna from Zona, that Zona is a safek sota, right? She becomes like as if she's guilty. And therefore, so too in the case of so she should be usher to the Kohen, right? So Truma say the same thing. You don't need a pasuk then for Truma. Why need a pasuk to say that she's usher to Truma, right? Venitma means she's usher to Truma. You're going the same thing. Is if you make a suffix, she should be usher for a suffix. So Elul Rabbi Kiva, Arba Kraik Sivi, right? Rabbi Kiva, there are 4 psukim, right? You know, it says Nitma, Vi, which was another one, Nitma. So therefore, Nitma, and then the Vav is double one. So therefore, it's 4. Elul Rabbi Kiva, Arba Kraik Sivi, Chad Lebal, V'chad Lebayel, V'chad L'Kuna. I'll tell you that a woman is a sota, the husband dies, she never has Asr L'Kuna, V'chad L'Truma, and then Asr is just L'Truma. Rabbi Shmuel, Talasa Krai, he doesn't dash in the Vav, he says 3 psukim, Chad Sivi, Chad Lebal, right? One is to the husband, V'chad Lebayel, is to the adulterer, V'chad L'Truma, and V'kahuna, Asr V'kav V'chomer, we say that can become a chomer from Kahuna. Right. Came from Shum. All right, we'll stop here. Shkeach.